Anthony Picente is the Oneida County executive, and he says he is not going to make Medicaid payments to the state unless he is getting the funding that he has so far been denied. County executive, thanks for joining us.
Thank you, Liz. Good to be here.
Now, this is actually something that I have not heard of before. You sent a letter just today, if I'm not mistaken, or yesterday, to the governor. That's correct. Basically saying that you have $24 million on hand. Is that correct?
Well, that's what our cash flow reserve is right now.
Okay. And how much money do you have on hand?
Well, no, we have 24 on hand. We are owed over $30 million from the state of New York right now as I sit here today.
And how much do you owe in Medicaid funds?
Well, Medicaid is our annual appropriation for Medicaid is over $50 million. It's about $53 million, for which we make payments to the state on a weekly basis, every Tuesday by wire transfer. And yesterday was a due day for Medicaid, and I wrote the governor a letter saying that, in view of the situation that the state has put us in, with our cash flow being so poor right now, that I was withholding the Medicaid payment for this week, and I would continue to do so until we get some relief and get the money owed to us by the state of New York.
Okay, so you owe about $853,000, correct? And we should probably explain to viewers how this works. I mean, obviously Medicaid is a federal program, but there is, not all states have this, in fact, but there's a local share. The state and the local split the cost, actually, and the state tried to take over some of the amount by capping the growth, if I'm not mistaken, under Pataki, right?
That's correct. There was a cap, a Medicaid cap put into place in 2005, which capped the growth for counties at 3% each year. But that means it's still growing at 3% each year, and especially in a program such as large as Medicaid is in New York State, and one of the most generous Medicaid programs, if not the most generous in all of the 50 states, it does grow at 3% each year. So even though it's capped, it's still growing. And that puts a strain on a budget even when, even in a county like ours, in which, as I said, our Medicaid bill for this year is about $53 million. So, and the way that's adjusted is every week we have to make a payment to the state to pay our share.
Okay, we had Budget Director Bob Megna here not so long ago, and he was actually with the Association of Counties Executive Director Steve Aquario, and they talked about this problem regarding the delayed payments to counties. And last I heard, they were going to try and work something out, because, and I think the Budget Director admitted that it really seemed unfair. It is money that is owed to you, but withholding your Medicaid payment is actually potentially illegal. I mean, there's a statute that says that you're not supposed to be doing this. What did the governor say to you? What did the administration say to you when you sent them this letter?
Well, I have not heard as of yet. I sent the letter yesterday afternoon, and as of today, I had not received any kind of response from the governor's office as of my meeting with you here now. We're waiting to hear what they're actually going to say, and what I basically said in my letter is that I recognize all the problems the state is in, but I have managed, and my county has managed our finances well over the last couple of years in tough times. And we can't continue to do this as the state continues to hold money payments that we have made to the various service agencies throughout my county and throughout this organization to provide services to the public, services like child welfare, foster care, aid to handicapped children, all of the vital programs, the mandated programs that we're required to provide as a county. We've made those payments since January 1st of 2010 and have seen no return. That's $32 to $34 million, as I say. Okay. That's owed to us.
But what if, I mean, one of the things that happened when the governor said, because of the state's cash flow problems, that he wasn't able to send payments out the door to the school districts got together and sued. I mean, why not have the county executives get together and sue instead of this, well, you're the first, but maybe there'll be more, patchwork approach of people who are just like, hey, I'm just not going to send you your money. I mean, if you send me mine and then I'll send you yours. I mean, it seems obviously fair, but why not? Because it worked for the school districts, actually. They started a lawsuit. The governor said, okay, when the money comes in, I'll send it out, and then they got their money.
Well, in the school's case, it's a little bit different. I mean, we have to provide programs on behalf of the state of New York, so we're mandated. It goes back to the statutory responsibility of a county to provide these services. So it's a little bit different in that regard. Now, the other point, though, is that in terms of our money and in terms of what we've already paid out for those programs, Other counties, their response have been, some others have gone out to borrow in terms of that, in terms of a RAN, a revenue anticipation note. I don't want to do that right now. I don't want to do that because that further puts my financial system in dire straits, for which we're not in right now. As I said, we've managed our finances properly over the last few years in very difficult times. We've made tough decisions. We've restricted hiring. We've eliminated jobs. We've changed contracts. We've gone to RFPs to reduce our costs. We've done all of the tough measures, restricted purchases. We've made tough decisions in county government in Oneida County. And on top of it, I have other issues plaguing me all around that we're still not getting any results or any help from the state. I have a sewer issue that's going to cost me $160 million under a consent order. We have the Indian issue that's never been and still not being resolved in terms of our issues with our neighbors and tax collection on the sales tax side and property tax side. And now the state, it continues to withhold money for programs that we have to provide. Why should I go borrow money and put my credit rating for this county and put us in jeopardy of losing more money because the state is irresponsible? We've done the responsible thing.
Okay, well, we should probably, this is a pretty good time to note that you are a Republican, are you not?
Well, I am, but I've agreed with the governor on some of what he's done. But in this case, I can't sit back and just let my county continue to spiral into fiscal abyss without taking some type of action. So they're withholding our payments. If we don't pay them, we have to pay penalties. We have to pay interest. If they don't pay us, nothing happens. They just don't pay us. And then when they catch up finally, they're just giving us our payment. There's no late fees. There's no interest that everybody else has to face.
So you're going to actually have to pay interest on this, though, on this $853,000?
Well, it'll be interesting to see what the response is, Liz, on this in terms of us being the first, I think, to do this and saying, I'm not going to make the transfer. And I'm not doing that, and not out of protest, out of spite, but out of the point of I have to keep my cash flow moving. I have to pay the expenses and provide services. And I can't keep doing that if the state doesn't pay me the money.
Okay, but I mean, if everybody decided to do what you're doing, we'd have like anarchy. I mean, it's like, I understand what you're doing. You're trying to make a stand. It's responsible for your county. And certainly the governor, I'm sure, has said on numerous occasions that he's sensitive to unfunded mandates that are really plaguing county governments. And I know a lot of elected officials are sensitive to that at the state level. But if everyone follows in your footsteps, then what the state will be even in worse financial straits than it already is. I mean, doesn't that sort of just make the problem worse?
Well, I don't. It's hard to say what